Hello, cellmates and other no-lifers on death row. Welcome to the third exhibition, I think your third from Lockdown Gallery. This one's going to be probably a shortish broadcast because it's about my artwork and I don't really like talking about it too much. And it's not really what I wanted the gallery to be about. But no other option, so I'm going to be displaying some of my figure paintings. So it won't be a really long one. The title comes from the William Burroughs novel Naked Lunch. Also just changed it to Naked Bunch because there's a bunch of naked birds in my studio. Yeah, called that. I mean, it's dear to my heart because the end of last year I went to Tangiers with my other half Lena, and we stayed in the hotel where William Burroughs wrote Naked Lunch. An amazing place, really atmospheric, apart from the nightclub underneath, which is a pain in the arse. But Tangiers itself, brilliant, love it. The colours in Tangiers, you can just come out of my artwork recently. It's just a wonderful place. I loved it. We had a great time. Well, I think we did anyway. No, I did. But anyway, it comes from Naked Lunch, what he wrote there. And a couple of the paintings actually give a nod to the genre and the lineage and heritage that I dedicated to pulp fiction novels. There's a couple in there, and they've got subtext to them by Daniel Tremor, which I'll read out. He's supposed to be watching, I don't know if he is, we'll find out later. Hang on, what's that do? I might have just waved at someone, I think it was Mia. I didn't know I could do that. Oh, anyway, I'll just do a virtual one anyway, if not. So yeah, this is an exhibition of my figurative stuff, and so I'll only be quick. There's only, I can't remember, 8 paintings in it. I think they're all big, so I couldn't really fit that many in. And so I don't really like talking too much about my own artwork, so I'll just give you a quick whiz through it. So I've got to flick you around again, haven't I? There we go. Right, Lockdown Gallery. Here we go. So obviously style the show's back. Here's Bird. Say hello, Bird. Acting like he's shy, my arse. Can I get a tweet? Say hello. Yeah? No? Yeah, that's such a... Right, I'm going to start with some wine, obviously, but it's a glass. My half can have a bottle tonight. Bloody time I've had. Right, I'm having a bottle, sod the lot here. Oh, that's nice. Get off the wine, Bird. Right, the first one we have up is of my long-term model, Tina. I've been painting Tina since 1995, I think. Yeah, 1995 I've been painting Tina since. Yeah, you think I would have got some sort of medal for this, wouldn't you? But never mind. Love you, Tina. Yeah, so this is Tina. I've known her for years. Painted, done her in all sorts of poses and stuff. She's brilliant model, really good. I've hung all sorts of fish on her and meat and painted her and great stuff. But this is more recent stuff anyway. This one's called Purging the Penitent. This was painted in 2019, so just last year. And it's obviously, they're both Tina, they're both from a photo shoot I did a few years back, and obviously separated them and played with them a bit and installed them on there. So that's Purging the Penitent with Tina. You'll see a lot of Tina in this. Well, you've seen a lot of Tina there already. Right, this one, the second one, is Venus Voodoo Vixen and the Missionary Massacre, which was painted last year as well. And this is one of them that's based on the pulp novels and some of the literature like what William Burroughs wrote and various other nondescript writers. It's just a beautiful concept, they're lovely. This was done in conjunction with Daniel Tremor. Hello, Dan. I can see you watching. Oh, I'll wave you. No, hang on. There you go, Dan. Give you a wave. Oh, James. Have one and all. Hello, Deb. You can have a wave and all, love. Oh, it's Jeff. I better give him one. He'll cry if not. There you go, Jeff. I've got two more in here. I better give these last two people a wave, otherwise they'll get upset. I didn't know I could do that. I'll be here hours now. Right, yeah, anyway, this was something or the other. Voodoo Venus Fly Trappy Vixen Tarty piece with, I can't remember now. Voodoo Vixen and a Massacre, Missionary Massacre. Yeah, anyway, this was done in conjunction with Dan Tremor. Where he's an amazing, he's an actor, he runs his own theatre company, he writes, he does just about everything. He's kind of like my brother from another motherfucker. It's probably the best way to describe it, him. And yeah, so he wrote a text and I'm going to read it out for you right now. If only Bird could speak, he could do this bit. Right, I'll leave that on the painting. What the idea was, oh bollocks, I forgot my glasses. What the idea was to paint a picture and then to display next to it just like a page that had been ripped out of the corresponding novel. So it kind of starts in the middle of something and ends in the middle of something. Yeah, it's just like it's been torn out and you found it. So the first thing, this is the Venus Voodoo Vixen by Xavier Stein, obviously made up name. So it starts off, and the animalistic pounding of the drum. I've got to go and get my glasses. Hang on a minute. Bird, hang on to this. Be back in a minute. Fuck's sake, poor old man. Right. Sorry about that, people. Well, I can actually see it now. Right, so that's off. And the animalistic pounding of drums made for the skins of tourists, the air thick with the buzzing of mosquitoes and the aroma of burnt hair. The missionaries struggled desperately, trying to free themselves from ropes stained with the blood of past sacrifices. But all their efforts were futile. Their fates were sealed. I'm out of breath now, run for my glasses. Fuck's sake. Have a day off, John. Venus danced around a pit of fire, naked as a babe, and as beautiful as an angel of death. Her mane of greasy tangled locks, the colour of the crackling frames, cascaded down over her heavy breasts, which bounced in the firelight. Breasts. Nice one, Dan. The family, their faces painted in ghoulish ceremonial garb, sung to the old ones and the spirits in the night sky. Marianne, the minister's wife, sobbed and prayed to her own God to save her from what was to come. The minister, his white shirt now crimson with the blood of his eldest son's castration, hung motionlessly from a makeshift crucifix. Don't know what happened there, cut off. Please, screamed Joanne, naked and tied to the tree holding her husband's corpse. His face purple and swollen in the noose, a small pool of semen and blood coagulating beneath the swinging feet. He looked like some kind of horrific Christmas decoration. Please just let us go. We won't tell anyone. I swear to God, we won't tell anyone. Any of the souls, just let us go. The neighbours round here thinking I've been doing something. Her desperate pleas were roundly ignored by the family, drowned out by the drums and the singing. They fed the fire with the missionaries' leather-bound copies of the Bible, laughing like hyenas in the heat as they did so. Jacob watched from his throne of bone, each taken from previous sacrifices, his face stoic, emotionless, cold as a grave. His daughters fed off the flesh of the children, who had had their throats slit and their meat slow roasted over the pit. His sons took turns with the few missionaries left alive, dragging them off into their chamber of horrors for whatever sadistic and sexual fantasies they desired to indulge in. Man, woman, child, it didn't matter to them. Venus dropped to the floor, her feet blistered from her dance. It had been many hours since she'd started, yet still she crawled towards Jacob. driven by the acid coursing through her veins, the desire in her loins and the evil in her heart. Jacob arose and stepped forward, towering over her. She reached his feet, her palms raised to him in reverence. She ran her filthy, cracked fingernails over his thighs, clutched to his hips as he took her handful of her hair, pulling her towards his crutch. Marianne watched in horror as Venus took him into her mouth. Jacob remained utterly expressionless. This terrified the missionaries even more. Jacob threw Venus to one side, displeased or simply bored by the attempts to fellatiate her Messiah. He made his way over to one of the collapsed Christians, a young man who had been severely sodomized. He lay in a heap on the dirt floor, numb and bleeding. Jacob took a kneel before him, lifted the young man's head in his hands with the tenderness of a lover. He could not meet Jacob's gaze for either fear or exhaustion, or both. Jacob tilted his head to one side, surveying his face in his hands. He thrust him down to the dirt with a wet thud. Then he removed the machete from his sheath and dangled it by his side, and proceeded to hack off the missionary's head. Marianne screamed, as did Joanne. Returning the machete to its sheath, Jacob carried the head over to Marianne, forcing it into her face. She cried and begged him to stop. Next he brought it to Joanne. She hollered and tried to jerk herself free, but to no avail. He grabbed her by the back of the neck. He saw her eyes widened in horror as he made the decapitated head kiss her. She vomited and shook. Jacob gave her the vaguest hint of a smile that would haunt her for the rest of her life, which was 27 minutes approximately. Jacob tossed the head into the fire and returned to his throne. Venus was laughing maniacally, either at Joanne or some vision only she could see. As quickly as she started, she abruptly stopped. She clambered to her feet, the bloodied blisters mixing with the dirt beneath them. She began to dance again, this time in frantic swirls. Marianne couldn't help but feel some shred of maternal panic for the girl and her proximity to the fire pit. On his crucifix, the minister moaned, not quite dead, not quite living, his existence defined by his agony. He tried his best to mumble and pray, but could not find the words. Marianne solemnly watched his husband try to appeal to his God, and silently castigated him in her heart for not taking her advice and just booking a trip to Butlins. But such things, that's it. So that's Dan's. That's what Dan wrote for my painting. And now you can see we're two brothers from a different motherfucker. We both think the same. We both like the same things. And yes, that was it. And I think it accompanies it. An absolute fucking treat. So that's the book done and gone with. Oh, that's just frightening my fat bird. Right. So that's that one. Now this one is. Hang on, let me a bit of paper. Oh, so fucking professional tonight, aren't I? This one is Mercury. I did a whole series of these. I think this was 2019, I think. Might have been 2017, I think. But I've done a whole series of these. There's 4 this size, and well, it's 12 in all, I think. They're all kind of, I had this idea for a book, which is something I probably should talk to Dan about. Combining with it, about a bloke who was a caretaker around the nuclear sites in the Nevada desert in the 1950s, and how he got an obsession with the dummies that they blew up there. And so this is Tina again, by the way. So I put Tina with these models. And could you believe this is a shop room model from a dress shop, and that is the genuine legs, and that is the genuine height of Tina. So apparently, in reality, women's legs come up to Tina's tits. Would you believe that? Anyway, so I put these together, and I had this idea of compiling a story to go with them about a bloke who became obsessed with them, and then he started stealing the burnt out child remains of the dummies, taking them home and stitching them onto his wife, or things like that, or getting to his wife to party with them. Anyway, it was just a whole big idea I had going. I haven't got round to finalising anything yet, obviously, because I'm an artist. But that was the idea behind it. I did write out a kind of a brief summary of details of where he'd live and dates and times, so it kind of made it look a little bit real. But that was the idea about the paintings, and these were just to accompany it. I probably should do them, probably should sort of do a reading whilst they're there. This is another one from it, and this one is called Operation Gabs. I have to say the names are all names of the bombs that they dropped in the nuclear testing on the Nevada desert. So all the names come from that. And this is again, it's just another composed mannequin with Tina to go in with the series. They did three. There was that one was kind of based around circus freaks' tents through the background. That's why it's red and white. I had an idea that he might have been an freak show kind of traveller who has become a caretaker. I don't know. It was an idea. And then this one was like more of pastel colours. There's three of each, I think, in different colours, and there's 4 lots. So yeah, there's 12 in all. Right, and back round to. Hang on, I need another glass of, I need another swig of wine. I've got to read. This is the second one I've done in conjunction with Dan, and this is Insane Jane and the Wild Women of Walled Weird. Obviously based about sort of a nutter or walled. I should say this is a new model I've been using recently. Kerry, I've known Kerry for a number of years, since she was about 17, I think. I can't remember. She's 30 something. So I've known her a long while, just as a friend. Watched her grow up, like. And she's always wanted to do something like this, and so yeah, we had a really fantastic photo shoot together over a year ago now, maybe more than, no, about a year ago, yeah. And I'm still working my way through these. I've got a lot more coming of Kerry. Right, and I will read out, look at this, all nicely framed and everything. This was actually exhibited in the 100 Years Gallery end of last year. I had a solo show there, and this was framed up to hang next to it, but I'll read from it now. So this is it's the same process. It starts halfway through a story and ends halfway through a story, like a ripped page. So this is what Dan wrote for this. Insane Jane and the Wild Women of Walled Weird by William K. Benson. Adjusting the pearly white pillbox hat perched atop her head, Nurse Craven took 3 measured steps towards Jane, her shark's eyes coldly analysing Jane's frail body in its cocoon of sheets and straps secured to the piss-stained iron bed. The good doctor is of the opinion that you are suffering from hysteria, she said as Jane watched the silver crucifix gently bounce across her bosom, and has suggested that he himself should administer the appropriate treatment as soon as possible. I, however, know better. For all his qualifications, the man is blinded by his own libido, like all men. Nurse Craven's trunk-like thighs pressed against the base of the bed as she coolly brought her gloved hands down to the bars of the frame and gripped it till her knuckles were as white as a uniform. Bloody hell, Dan, I didn't know you could write like this. You know, I'll be spending some time in the toilet tonight, I think. Anyway, back to art. But you'd like that, wouldn't you, she said, baring her teeth in what Jane suspected was meant to be something resembling a smile, but in fact was more akin to a grimace. Now I have my own methods of dealing with lascivious women like you. Jane tried and tested and true. Like you, Jane. Tried, tested and true. Taught to me by a late matron when I was no more than a simple sister with a desire to help the damned and the rotten. And you, my sweet Jane, are both. Nurse Craven released her vice grip on the bed frame and in one swift movement retrieved the metallic whistle from her pocket. 3 short, sharp blows. Yeah, just like Bird there. Lovely. Quite on time, mate. And then it was back from whence it came. Yeah, we've done that bit now. You stop whistling. Back from whence it came. She stood there, unmoving, her eyes fixed on Jane's. The only sound was the low hum of the bare bulb above the bed and the frantic squeak of Plimsoll's rushing down the corridor towards Jane's abode. A few moments later, the nervous nurse, Acker, burst into the room. "Nurse Craven," she said, each syllable punctuated by her unfaltering fear of her superior. She'd been on the ward for only a matter of months, and yet to adopt a cold and emotionless conduct of her colleagues. She knew the other nurses resented her for this, seeing her compassion towards the women of the ward as nothing more than naivety and weakness. This was made clear by the way they treated her after her reaction to Caroline's electroshock therapy. "Bring me my tools, now!" "Yes, Nurse Craven, right away." Jane had heard... Oh, get me, my voice is out. I'm not fucking acting now. Jane had heard of Craven's tools. Everyone on the ward had. It was almost seen as a rite of passage to undergo treatment with them. No one knew for sure what she kept in her vintage white leather bag, but there were plenty of rumours. Paddles, whips, blades, dildos, choker collars, even a spiked speculum. Suffice to say, no one felt quite the same after experiencing whatever Craven decided to use on them. Apparently, poor Deborah in room 21 couldn't walk straight for a fortnight after Craven punished her for an act of supposed late night cunnilingus with her former roommate. Allegedly, her roommate hasn't walked at all since. Although this could be hearsay, the walls of the ward were awash with telltales of sadism and lesbianism. Nurse Acker returned with the bag of sinister implements, and after handing them to Craven, was swiftly dismissed, much to the young nurse's relief. Craven placed the bag gently down on the rickety chair beside her, the only other piece of furniture in Jane's room. She did not open it right away. She left it there, letting its presence speak for itself. Instead, she made her way over to the window, gazing a moment at the lawns of the asylum. Many moons ago, when it was a sanatorium for sufferers of consumption, lawns were supposedly some of the most beautiful for hundreds of miles, but now they were overgrown and littered, the rain-worn statues of mythological figures and the hospital's founder now coated with ivy. She watched as a deranged patient from the gentleman's ward masturbated to a broken statue of a Greek goddess before being tackled to the ground by one of the male nurses. She drew the curtains and turned back to face Jane, whose eyes had not left the bag on the chair. She stared at it with such intensity as it were able to somehow see inside if she tried hard enough. "You know I had high hopes for you, Jane," Craven said, casting her gaze over Jane. "I truly believed I could cure you of your sickness and moral turpitude, but I am starting to come to the conclusion that you may be beyond saving. I suppose you can't win them all, and it stops there. So there you go. If you want to read more, contact Mr. Dan. Right, now we're back over onto Tina again. And this is from a series of 3 that I did. Again, just all of the same, sort of collaged collection of photos, shoots that I'd done with Tina. It was a set of 3 named Seducing the Cerberus, obviously with a reference to the 3-headed dog from Greek mythology. So that's that one. I give you a little close-up of colours and things and stuff. Because pretty much all my work's about is just colours, and absolutely love colour and playing with it. I just love paint, really. So there you go. That's the 3-headed Tina. I couldn't think of anything worse. No, I could, and that's coming up next. 3-bodied Tina. Oh, bless her. You wait till she sees this. Anyway, this is Tina. This is the Blessed Brethren. It's just yet another composite picture of a modelling shoot I did with Tina. As I say, worked with her for years, and just, yeah, she's just really good. I absolutely love working with her. And now, something very rare and very odd and very not me, but I've done, is a sculpture. It's a ceramic sculpture sculpture I made out of coiled sculpture, where you coil it around and sculpt into it, and glazed and fired it. This is this is a long while ago. This was, I think, this was when I was at college even, but it's been hanging around ever since, and I really like it. It's okay. It's a stoneware fired, stoneware glaze, and yeah, it's just a nice little figure that I made years ago. And here's another one. This was based on I think on a life drawing session we had, and this is just a little ceramic sculpture I made ages ago. And that's now in the possession of Lena, and she won't let me have that for far too long, I know. But yeah, there's that. Right, and then the last one is, this was painted previous to all the rest as well, and it's called Son of Ham, obviously based on the serial killer Son of Sam. It's Tina again, but with a pig's head stuck on her head. She's a game lass. And she's holding a small baby. That's pretty much it, really. I love the colours. I love just all the white. Yeah, it's just, I love playing with it. I love the semi-abstract of it as well. But yeah, so it's just based on a bit of a pun of Son of Sam, and it's kind of slightly nefarious kind of stories. But anyway, that's it. So I'll give you a little quick whiz round again. So it's pretty much the Tina and Kerry show with a bit of Dan thrown in. And there we go. I'll just skim round so you can get a rough idea of how it's all hanging and so forth. There you go. Right. Well, let's switch it back round. There you go. Well, that's my figurative show of Naked Bunch. I hope you liked it. I don't really like talking about my own artwork, so it was nice to have a few stories from Dan to pass the time and make it sound a little bit better. I don't know. I'm not sure whether I'll be back next week. No, I don't know. I don't want to put on another show of mine. It's not what I wanted to do. It's not what it's about. It's not. I don't want to just put stuff up and go, look what I can do. Oh, I'm clever. It's not. I'm not clever, and I'm not going to get into that role. So I was hoping I could have got other people involved, but logistically, it just seems to be impossible. It costs a hell of a lot in posting back and forth, but I'd love to get other people's work in here somehow or the other, and do like a talk about them or something. I don't know. It's just not meant to be a promotional thing for me. I just don't want to do that, so I don't know. It's just, everything's getting a bit weird at the moment, and I just don't know if I could be bothered. Just everything seems to be getting a little bit pointless and just nihilistic. I don't know. I might do. I don't know. I can't. The only thing I fancy doing at the moment is destroying a load of artwork. So I might even do that, just film it, just to keep it running over. I don't know. The whole social distancing thing is becoming a bit of a nightmare, especially now it's supposed to be going on for a whole year. I mean, for some of us, that's just mentally not an option. That's just that can't happen. That's just just wouldn't. The isolation thing's okay, but it's kind of like, I don't know. And even dealing with the insanity that comes with it, that's fun. You can paint with that, but it's kind of the depression and shit that goes with it, which is not good. So whether I'll keep it up and keep it going or not, I'm not entirely sure. I might destroy a load of artwork next week, I don't know. I enjoyed reading stuff out though, so maybe I could do something with Dan. Maybe he can keep me pecker up. Hello Dan, keep me pecker up lad. I don't know, we'll see. I'll keep you posted, but we'll see how things go. I'll just see if things hold together enough to I might be back next week. It'll all be on the page anyway. Right, well obviously you can hear birds getting pissed off. So I'm going to go and take copious amounts of drink and drugs and pretend I'm not lonely and tell myself I'm having fun at my own after show party. So hopefully I'll be back next week. I'll try and dream something up. And I shall see you all soon, hopefully. See you later, people. Bye bye.